my experience with homeschool, and I'm going to go into why I feel you should not homeschool your children. And we'll start with the pros. The pros are going to be, there's three that I can think of. The first one is that the hours, the amount of time it takes to put the same amount of knowledge into your child, it doesn't take as long in homeschool. In public school, it's 6-7 hours, you know, and they've got multiple different classes they're doing. They've got, you know, sometimes up to 30-40 children in the same class, learning the same thing, fighting, competing for the teacher's attention, right? And it doesn't mean like attention as in like I want attention, but as in like I'm struggling with this concept, can you help me? They only have a finite amount of time until they need to move on to the next subject. Okay, so homeschool, they get more in less amount of time. The second is that you know what's going on in the curriculum. Okay, you can omit some things, you can add some things. In some of them, you can add, you can adjust. You know what's going on. You know they're not being taught anything weird or shady. You don't have to worry about, you know, especially girls, creepy dudes, or anyway, it happens to boys too, creepy chicks, or creepy dudes that are into boys. You don't need to worry about any of that. And then three, you get a bunch of time with your kid, right? Or kids, multiple. You've got multiple. So there's three things that I can think of, okay? And again, that's the time it takes to get the same amount of learning done is less. You're spending more time with your kids, and you know what's going on in the curriculum. Okay, but the cons, I feel, outweigh the pros. There may not be as many cons, but I think that they're more significant. Now, when I was homeschooled, there's not a lot of time to go out and, I mean, not time, but you don't get a lot of social interaction, especially with kids your age. You don't know, for me, I didn't know how to talk to girls forever, because I was never around girls, ever. I was around my sister, and so I didn't know how to talk to females at all. And I also didn't know how to talk to males. I didn't know that there are many different personality types, and I didn't know how to deal with them when I found out and when I was introduced into the public school system. I didn't know how to deal with the, you know, that alpha male type of personality. I didn't know how to deal with bullies. I didn't know how to deal with any sort of social awkwardness, right? And I was socially awkward, and I didn't know how to deal with anything. I couldn't figure it out because I was 11 when I entered the public school system. It severely stunted me for years, and I fear that will happen to more kids. Now, everybody, I would imagine, has heard of the stigma, or I guess the stereotype, of the weird homeschool kid. And there's a reason that's there. There's a reason that stereotype exists, is because it's true. I was a weird homeschool kid. I didn't know what to do with my hands. You know what I mean? Like Talladega Nights, I don't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know how to do anything. I couldn't cope. On top of that, I was never allowed to ride the bus either. So that extra that extra little, you know, social time, I never got. So I worry that if you do homeschool your kids, they'll be removed from society. They won't get that you don't get any bonding. You know, I didn't have any friends. I had the neighbor kids, I guess, but you know, during the day they're at school, and then they come back, and then they have school sports and all this other stuff, and we didn't have any of that. So it's very isolating. I just want you to know that for your child, it will be very isolating being homeschooled, unless there's some sort of gathering that you can do 2, 3, 4 times a week for about an hour, maybe. That'll help, you know, or some sort of club. But even then, it's not a lot. So I fear for that. Okay, so if you plan on homeschooling your children ever, or if you already are, I would encourage you to reconsider or to implement some social gatherings. And I'm not talking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. I mean like a group of a horde of kids. I think that's the only way to properly acclimate them to a social life, right? Now, I guess being isolated like that comes with some perks. I suppose you could say that. When people leave my life, it doesn't really matter because, and it's also because I moved around a lot, but I don't form attachment, you know, and it could maybe lead to some sort of what looks like maybe autism. The inability to latch on to somebody and be friends with them. Also, if they do ever integrate into the school system or college or whatever, they're going to be ostracized because they don't know how to handle social interaction. You know, and if they do, it's limited. It's not the way everyone else is, and they're going to look around and be like, what's wrong with me? How come no one likes me? It's because you're weird. That's the truth. It's because you're weird. You're not normal. Okay? And before you say, oh, normality isn't real, it is, because it's the norm. It's the median, right? Everybody that went through the public school system from K through 12 knows how to handle all these social interactions. Or at least they can handle it way better than a homeschool kid would. So I'll say it again. I really would hope that you would reconsider. For the social aspect alone, it makes it very hard to talk to girls, especially when you start to get, you start to go through puberty. And you want to start talking to girls. You know, you're infatuated by them, but you don't know what to do with them. You don't know how to handle them. You don't know how to talk to them. If they talk to you, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do with your hands. I don't know what to do with my hands. Talladega Nights again. I implore you, reconsider. It messed me up for decades. Okay, I ended up in the public school system. Again, my mom would never allow me to ride the bus, so I missed out on that, 15 minutes to an hour of social interaction, sometimes more, depending on where you live, so I missed out on that. When I did go to the public school, I was the weird kid, and so, kids are mean, and so I was bullied for being weird. I was extremely introverted. It led to massive depression. I didn't know who I was. My self-identity was just gone. It wasn't great. So, I'm not saying woe is me, pity party here, but take me as an example. Hey, well, it happened to this guy. This was his experience with it. I'm 33 now, and I wish I could go back, and I'd be a different person. Maybe not, but maybe not wish I could go back, but see what would have happened and who I would have become if I was normal. Like I said, it bugs me still to this day, and it really messed with my self-confidence. It messed with my ability to make friends, to talk to girls. Anyway, I digress. So parents, I don't know who needs to hear this, but yeah. Anyway, you guys have an excellent rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.